Hello po. Ayan. Good morning po. Can you see my screen?
Just your screen looks right.
Alright po. So, the topic for today is Moodle Gradebook setup training. So, this 35-minute training course is designed for educators, trainers, LMS administrators, and those who have basic or advanced knowledge about the learning management system Moodle. So this training course will be focused on Moodle grading and setting up your Moodle gradebook for your courses. At the end of the workshop, participants will be able to learn and understand the Moodle gradebook, set up their own gradebook with a customized formula and for grade computations and import and export grader reports. So, what is a grade book? So, all the grades for each student in a course can be found in the course gradebook or grader report accessed from the grades tab. So, grades in the Moodle gradebook can be calculate and aggregate. So, um, in simple terms, a gradebook is an electronic tool that allows for managing student grades. So to give you a conceptual view of the gradebook, I have an example screenshot here, the sample screenshot of gradebook grader report. It arranged as a table. So inside the green line are all the graded activities and the student total row score. Inside the red line is a category. So using categories in your gradebook allows you to create a heading, which is performance task, and the column performance task total that help organize your grade item and activities. So you can input activities inside the category and get the total scores. So for example, in quiz activities, in student 1 has a score of 35, 45 plus 40 equals 120, and student 2, 35 plus 40 plus 30 equals 105. So inside the blue line is the grade item. So when you add a grade item, it will allow you to add a column to the report. So in this example, PS or percentage score is the grade item. So next slide, access from grade tab. So the grader report is the primary page in Moodle's gradebook to view and edit student grades for the entire class. When you add a graded activity to your course, a column is added to the report. So each course in Moodle has its own gradebook, which you can access by clicking on the grades tab. Again, upon clicking the grades tab, you will be able to see the grader report. This is the grader report where you can see all the student information such as full name, username, email address, grades, and then activities. So note that if you have a lot of student and graded activities, when you scroll across, you can still see the student name. And as you scroll up, yan, you can still see the title of the graded activities. So another thing you can do is to sort A to Z, the student name, by clicking on the first name or surname of the student. Now, this pencil icon here next to the activity allows you to override the score of the student. So simply enable the overall ride box, and input the grade and then the feedback. So, um, let's say po that the grade is 2 star and then my feedback is very good. So simply type the grade and the feedback here, and note that in the range column, and you will see the maximum points for the activity. And also don't forget to click the save button after you make changes. So step-by-step guidelines for setting up the grade calculation based on the example grading sheet. So the template grade is available here in the Moodle Gradebook setup course. So scroll down and then click the example of a grading sheet, and it will directly go to the grading template. And based on this template, the template grade college with reassessment, there are three assessment: the assessment 1, assessment 2, and assessment 3. So the highest possible score for each assessment is 100. The percentage score of assessment 1 is 30%, and the percentage score of assessment 2 is 30%, while in the assessment 3, the weight score is 40%. So the PR here is the sum of the percentage score of assessment 1 and assessment 2 and the weight score. While the formula of the PR round is the round off of this particular PR. And then to compute the final grade, so there is a transmutation table here. 73 to 74 is equivalent to 5, and then 75 to 77 is equivalent to 3, and so on. So this 96 and 95 is equivalent to 1.3 and 1.4, which is same as this grade transmutation table. So now, this type of grade template is possible using the gradebook in Moodle. So to set up this to set this up in the gradebook, you need to be familiar with the grade calculation. So what is the grade calculation? The grade calculation follows the pattern or formulas functions in popular spreadsheet programs. So they start with an equal sign and use common mathematical operators and functions to produce a single numerical output. And this output is then used as the computed value for the grade item you are editing. So if you know how to formulate the spreadsheet, and this will be very easy for you. So this is the my test course for computing the gradebook setup. So this is my test course for the gradebook demo, and as you can see, I've already added 3 assessments with the highest possible score of 100, the same as the sample grading sheet template. So to preview the maximum score of the assessment, these 3 assessments, make sure that the switch toggle edit mode is on. And from the 3 dots icon, click edit settings. and then select question tab. So you will see here the maximum grade is 100. So another way to preview the maximum points of the activity is by clicking on the grades tab and select grade setup from the drop down menu. So by clicking on the gradebook setup tab, you will see po the maximum grade for that particular assignment. And these three assessment po have a maximum point of 100. So from the grader report, you will see the student total row score 95, 95, which is same po as this template. So I've already set up this, and the difference between the grader report and the gradebook setup, upon viewing the grader report, you will see the student total row score. So while in the gradebook, you will see the the gradebook setup, you will see the maximum grades for the activity. So to set up the example grading sheet, the first thing you need to do is to add categories. So in simple terms, the grade categories help to organize the grade item and the activity. So based on the template, we have three categories: the assessment 1, assessment 2, and then assessment 3. So to start adding a category from the grader report, again, select the gradebook setup. So let me just copy this. So going back po, sorry for that. So going back po to our presentation, let me just go back po to again, the step 1 po is adding category. So in sample template, so I've shown you po that there is three categories: the assessment 1, assessment 2, and assessment 3. So to create a category, so you need to go to the gradebook setup and supply the category name assessment 1, yan, assessment 2, and assessment 3. So note that grade categories help to organize the grade item and activity. So second step is select activities and place them in the correct category. So from the grade tabs again, you may select the grade setup from the drop-down menu, and you will check or tick the box of that particular activity. So like for this image below, the PS 30%. So in this example, you will check this enable box and choose from the drop down menu. So for the quiz one is for category assessment 1, and quiz 2 is for category assessment 2, and quiz 3 is for category assessment 3. So upon viewing the grader report, you can see that the activities are are already in their category. So next step, So after adding grade category, select activities and place them in their correct category. Next is to add a grade item. So in simple terms, the grade items allows you to add a column in the graded report. So based again on the sample grading sheet template, that is also available in the course. You may check it out. So we need to create a PS and PS, TS, and WS, PR, and the final grade. So adding grade item is very easy in the gradebook setup. You may click the add grade item button and then supply the name, which is PS, and then you will select again the correct category from the drop down menu. So based on the template, the PS is for the category assessment 1. So we will select assessment 1 and save it. So WS for category assessment 3, TS for category assessment 3, and when you view it in the grader report, all the grade items that you add are found in the grader report and added as a column in the graded report. So after adding grade items, next is arrange the grade items. So this step is optional. So if you want to rearrange the grade items and activities, so let's say for this image, if you want the assessment 3 exam to be on top, so simply click here the move icon and select the location you wish. And then after organizing the category and arranging the grade item, next is to assign ID numbers. So assigning ID numbers, so for example, in the Google Sheet, there is A1, A2, A3, which is referred to as the cell. So in the gradebook, we need to assign an ID number for each activity to refer to as this is the activity. So to assign ID numbers, so simply click the edit calculation of that particular item. Then you will type the ID number of each activity, as you can see po in this image. So in this example, the ID number is surrounded by double bracket. And in this example, I have here is the ID number is the name itself to be easy identified. So after assigning ID numbers, next is to calculate the grade items. So this is the instruction on how you will do it. You will do it. Click the edit calculation. So type the calculation and then click the save changes. So in this example, make sure to type an equal sign, and then you will get the ID number of the quiz 1 times 30%, which is the percentage score of the assessment 1. So after the PS, next is to calculate the PS of assessment 2. So the formula of PS is student total row score of assessment 2, sorry, multiplied by 30%. So again, in the calculation box, equal sign, and then get the ID number of quiz 2 times 0.30. And then for the TS, the formula is student total row score of assessment 3, ayan, divided by 100 multiplied by 60 plus 40. So equal sign and get the ID number of quiz 3 divided by 100 times multiplied by 60 plus 40. And then the formula of weight score is very easy. You get the ID number of TS times multiplied by 40%. So next is the PR. So the formula of PR is the sum of percentage score and the weight score. So we need to get the PS1, PS2, and then the WS. So um, after PR is next is the PR round. So for the PR round, the formula is to round off, and that formula is equal sign, round, open parenthesis, and get the ID number of PR, comma, 0, and then close parenthesis. Now final grade, for the final grade, um, is the this is the instruction on how you will do it. How you will do it. Click the edit setting of FG and select the grade type letter. So to compute the final grade based on the template, we use the transmutation table where 96 is equivalent to 1.3 and 95 is equivalent to 1.4. So the transmutation table is possible to set up through the use of grade letters. So let me show you po the grade letters. So the grade letters, select grade letters from the drop-down menu. So a grade letter is a symbol to represent a range of grades. For example, A could be used to represent grades of 80% and above. 50, letter B to represent grades between 70 and 80%, C to represent grades between 50 and 70%, and so on. Or alternatively, you could have pass for grades above 50% and fail grade for grades below 50%. So grade letters can be modified. So like what I did here po dito sa aking sample gradebook demo. So I set up the grade letters using the numeric. So let me just show you. So all right. So I set up po the numeric, the transmutation table. So instead letters, I use the numeric 1 to 5. And this grade letters is same as this transmutation table. So to edit the grade letters, simply click the edit button and then supply the grade letters. So don't forget to click the save changes after you input the transmutation table. So once the transmutation table is already set up, the next is to use it to display in the grader report. So to do that, you may follow po the instruction in the presentation or simply click select the gradebook setup. So let me just select the gradebook setup. And then let me just select the gradebook setup here. And then click the let's say for this example, the quiz, and then edit settings. You may select the grade letters. So instead default, you may select the letter to display this on the gradebook and click save changes. So upon viewing po in the grader report, ayan, you will see po that the grade letters is already displayed. So that would be all on how to use the grade calculation and the grade letters in the gradebook setup. So for importing and exporting grades, so I will now give the floor to Ms. Aramay Coronado.
Thank you for that. A very wonderful and detailed technical demonstration, Miss Rika. So just a minor addition to that, I'm going to be sharing my screen very briefly. So as mentioned a while ago, the setup that was shown is for our example, but of course, it can be modified based on your own organization's grading setup. So in addition to that, additional functionality that we have in the gradebook setup is importing grades. So grades can be imported via CSV, XML, or by pasting from a spreadsheet. So importing grades is usually done if there are external activities done outside of the LMS and you want to upload or record a grade in that in the LMS as well. So on how to do that, you just have to go to the gradebook setup, select import. And for this example, we'll be using the feature or the functionality to paste from spreadsheet because for CSV file or XML file, it's just easily uploaded. Okay, so step one is go to the import and paste from spreadsheet. Step two is to make sure that your spreadsheet is properly set up. Ensure that you have the correct column names for your grades, and for your students, you need either their username, ID, or their email address. So for our setup, we have here our students' email address as an example, our grades for this specific activity or item, the presentation, bracket 100, and we have some additional feedback for the presentation or the grade item that we want to be imported. So once your spreadsheet is properly set up, next step is go back again to the import and the paste spreadsheet part. If we check on here, for actual viewing, we can see that there is this text area where we can just paste the details that we will be copying from the spreadsheet. So this is the actual view for that, right? So copy and paste it, click on the upload button near the bottom of the page. So once you have your spreadsheet, you will just copy the relevant columns and rows and paste it on the text area that you have right there. After that, ensure that you match up the identifier you used for the students. So if you use email address for the student identifier, you will have to map it on the email address part, and then ensure also that the graded items are mapped on the proper grade activity or activities available on the LMS already. If it's not yet available, you can just set it up as a new grade item, like this one, for example. And then the feedback presentation or the row, other column that is found on the spreadsheet, you can set it up to be uploaded or ignored as well. And once this is finalized and you have properly mapped all the items in the spreadsheet that you have, just upload the grades. After that, you'll be able to see that the grade has been imported successfully and that the presentation right here is, or the grade for the presentation item is recorded right here. Right? So lastly, for this part is the exporting of grades. Grades can be exported to Excel spreadsheet, ODS spreadsheet, plain text file, or XML file, or published via URL. So it is very easy to export. Let's just go here very briefly. Just select on the export part here. And once we are on this part, we can select the grade items that we want to be included. So this is very useful if ever you want to have a local copy of the grade of the raw grades of your students or training participants. So, and also if ever you want to import these raw scores or raw grades in another system that you have, right? So you can export it as ODS, plain text file, Excel spreadsheet, or again, the XML file. And that would be the end of this presentation. So we actually offer a separate training for this if you want to have a specialized training based on your organization's grading setup. So we do that. We can do that for you, and you can just inquire on the info@nfilweb.com.ph. So let's just have a very brief walkthrough of the course that we have here. So after accessing the course, you can see the presentation that we have. an example of the reading sheet, and of course, the video tutorials on what we have discussed a while ago about what is gradebook, how to set up grade calculation, how to import and export grades in Moodle. If you have other questions, we have here a forum as well. And of course, we'll very much love to hear your feedback, and please access here the feedback form so that we can hear more for you and improve our presentations as well. So I believe we still have time for some question and answer. So if there are any questions, please feel free to raise them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aida, Ms. Rika. I don't believe we have any questions. There is one that was already answered within the presentation. But again, if you have any other questions later on, please feel free to use the forum on the Mood PH 22 website. Okay, in the Philippines right now, it's 10:57 a.m. We are going to have a short break, 5 minutes. A water break. So everyone can stretch or get some more water or coffee. So we'll meet you back here in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We are back with Moodle Mood Philippines 2022. Before we continue with our next workshop, I just want to share the certificate. Everyone who is attending this session will receive a certificate. And I will also want to issue this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Aira Marie Coronado for sharing her invaluable knowledge and experience to the participants of the Moodle Mood Philippines, as well as to Ms. Ricangela. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Aira, Ms. Ricangela.